And that's really what's upsetting. I can't even bring myself to really dive into that the way I would like to. All right, you guys, thank you for tuning in online. If you guys are online, please hit the like button, the share button. It don't cost you nothing. And make sure you drop some comments below and be part of the show. I'll do my best as we're going through to pop stuff up on the screen as we're going. If you comment, just do a thumbs up, a smiley face, or I appreciate you, I'm watching you. I'm going to pop all the comments up as we go. Let's jump into it, okay? We got a number of different issues that are going on locally and across the world. I want to get to as many of them as possible today. One of the big things that we see right now is that President Trump is working on negotiating a demilitarization of Hamas in Gaza. Bam. Who would have ever thought that we would see that day? And here we have all of these so-called pro-Palestinian people outside protesting against Trump. They hate Trump. Trump's so bad. But Trump's been the only one that's really been pushing to resolve the conflict over there in Palestine. He's even pushed for a two-state solution, which is wild because most people are completely against that. So when people say, oh, well, free Palestine and we hate Trump, well, you can't do both at the same time. If this is the only person that's over there really working actively for exactly what you say that you want, then why are you not supporting it, right? Like right now, they've almost come to terms with the armament of Hamas, right? Now, all Israel's got to do is do right, which I know that can be challenging when you feel that you're so righteous, nobody else can be right. But hopefully they'll get their act together and we can actually see something get done there. Now, I talk about this because that area over there, it's West Asia, but we call it on our side of the globe, we call it the Middle East. And for thousands of years, since legitimately before any of us can even conceive of, they have been fighting and in constant turmoil and constant wars and in constant engagements over there. You know, if it wasn't one empire, it was another empire. If it wasn't the Persians, it was the Romans. If it wasn't the Romans, it was the Carthaginians. If it wasn't these people, it was those people. If it wasn't them, it was the Moors. Over and over and over and over again, all throughout the Middle East for thousands of years, okay, it has been nothing but war and conflict. I mean, maybe the Pax Romana was the most peace that they've seen in that area. But still, there were other battles going on that were outside of the Roman Empire during the Pax Romana. And this is something that's really important for us to understand. The people over there in that area, they don't know anything but hardship and suffering, and they know strength. They know strength through pain, through suffering, through aggressive action. They don't know any other way. So this concept that these westernized people, okay, especially white liberals and white liberal women to say the most of, those people have this concept of peace that these other individuals do not share. And that's something that we need to really address. You want to know why it didn't work out in Afghanistan, why we couldn't do anything in Afghanistan? Because all they know is war and suffering. These are people that live in the mountains in one little hut and they got a goat, maybe. You know what I'm saying? And people say, oh, well, that's not nice to say. You've never been to Afghanistan, have you? You know, and then you wonder what's going on over there with the Taliban taking over and all of the hardships and stuff that the Taliban are causing, because before they had a government that was West-leaning and then that was gotten rid of. Well, what happened? Well, the people there, again, only know pain, suffering, and aggressive action. So if you're not showing them strength, they're going to go after you. You got to get them with over dominance of strength. Like you really got to wrestle them down to the ground. And we saw that it started, one of the big things that it started with, we can go back even further to the BC time period in that area, but let's go back just specifically to England when the British Empire invaded Afghanistan, right? They had thousands and thousands of people in there, okay? They tried to actually be in there and occupy it for years and make it a colony. And it was for some time. It really was. But what happened with that? Well, The people don't know anything but strength. Okay, they don't know anything but aggressive action. So they ended up running all of the British out of there because the British were like, oh, our way of life is so superior. Okay, that's more of the French that go, but you know what I'm saying. And they thought that they were so fly and everybody wanted to be just like them. And what happened? They got ran out. All the people that the British had in there, they all died. The only people that escaped was one guy and a horse. And the horse died. You understand what I'm saying? So this is crazy. So this is Afghanistan went under British rule. Then we got the Russians tried to go in there, right? And the Russians couldn't hold it. Now, albeit it's partly our fault that the Russians couldn't hold it because we were funding the, what do you call them? The Real ZA and the Mujahideen. Okay. So we were funding them, the United States. And then you wonder why we got all these crazy people all across the country that's been trained, across the world that's been trained by the CIA and stuff. We did that. We did that. So when people are like, oh, well, you know, the US caused these problems with these people or whatever, we're the ones who trained them to fight. We're the ones who trained them to throw off the shackles of their other previous oppressors. You understand what I'm saying? Like, we created that problem for ourselves, not by bombing these people, but by arming these people and training them to go against other regimes. And that's how we ended up with all these problems over there in the Middle East. Hit the like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. We getting into some real serious topics today. Make sure you drop a comment, even if it's just a hi, I'm watching, or I love your show, or a thumbs up, or an emoji. All of that helps. So take 2 seconds, hit that like button, because I see a ton of you watching. It's about a couple hundred of y'all watching, but not a lot of thumbs up. So hit that thumbs up. I'm going to drink some water real quick. Drink water. Stay hydrated. Now, as we jump back into it, we've got this new concept that the Middle East is so simple, so simple. The Middle East is not simple at all. I don't even know why these leftists, liberals, and Democrats talk about the Middle East like it's simple. And some of them that are far, far left are like, oh, well, if America just didn't do this or didn't do that, but we don't live in the past, we live in the present, and we're looking at going to the future. You understand what I'm saying? I love my country. Nobody can tell me anything wrong about my country. But the fact of the matter is this, very simply. Our country has done a number of things that people are mad at for generations. You know what I'm saying? Like, and you'll say, oh, well, it's the US because the US is bad. Listen, Japan, do you think Japan is bad? Because Korea and China are still mad at them from stuff that happened almost 100 years ago now, not 80 years ago. They still mad. You understand what I'm saying? The Chinese are still mad from the Opium Wars. They still mad. You understand? So you're talking about these people, oh, well, if the US just stops this and we should defund the military and all of these things. Interesting concept. Okay. So what do we do if we were to defund the military? Then all of our enemies besiege us at one time. They start picking away at our extremities. We've already got an issue with CME. Was it CME, CMA? CME, the territory that we have over there in the Pacific, where China's all running the governor and all types of craziness. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And we got a serious problem with that. We got a serious problem. Our enemies are constantly going after us. You might have seen the other day where they had these people that attacked all our water systems in the United States. And they're like, well, we don't know exactly who did it or whatever the case is. Okay, it was probably China. It didn't have to be, but if we were to be betting, it'd probably be China. Because people don't understand how severely our enemies want us gone. Not because we're bad or we treated them bad, but we are in opposition of them and their dominance of the globe. It's like Jet Li in the movie The One. There can only be one. There can only be one dominant superpower, and it is the US. And if you live in the US and you want the US to fall, you are a fool. Full facts. Because if the US falls, you got nowhere to go. You're going to suffer. You're going to suffer bad, most likely, unless you're extremely affluently wealthy in not just cash, but also resources, because who knows what would happen if the government were to fall. You'd need actually tangible resources than you would actual money, because it's not going to be able to be exchanged very well. But this is what we have to understand. Our enemies are always against the US continually, eternally, and they're not going to stop. So these crazy cuckoos over here that say they want to defund the military, and you do that, and then what? You think everybody's going to give us flowers and candy? Like, are you serious? They're not going to do that. They hate us. But it's not because we're big and we're bad. It's because we're in their way of dominance. We're in their way of dominance. And people need to understand that, because unfortunately, the concept of the world has been too feminized and made too soft. So we've got all of these people that want to believe in all of these soft, super, super soft things. And the world is rose glasses and fluffy pillows. That's not the real world. That's not even the world that we live in. More or less it being the real world or not the real world. Like, what are we doing? What are we actively talking about? And we have to talk about things like they really are. Now, let's go back over to the Middle East, right? So we've got the Middle East, and you've got a couple of different makeups of the Middle East. You've got the Persians, which are the mountain people, and then you've got the sand people, which are more, well, their countries are sand, right? So they're below Persia. And if the country's sand, it's probably the sand people, which we would call Saracens, because that's the people from those areas. And everybody's not Arab, you guys. I know everybody's like, oh, the Arabs. They're not all Arabs, but they are all sand people, because most of their country is made out of sand, or call them people of the sand. It doesn't matter. They're Saracens, because the large, not all of them, but the large majority of them in those sand countries, because they worship Islam, right? And this is another contrast that we don't understand here conceptually. People are like, oh, well, they're mean to them. They're mean to them. They're this, that, and the third. They're mean to each other. What do you mean? Did you forget that Saddam was over there blowing up all the other Muslims? Did you forget that Egypt was over there blowing up all the other Muslims? Like, what are we even having a real conversation about? We're not having a real conversation. Like, people get and say, oh, well, it's the US, it's the US, because we're a good bad guy. Let's be honest. The US is a good bad guy the same way Trump is a good bad guy. Facts be the facts, you know? Whether you love Trump or hate Trump, he's a good bad guy. That's a fact. Whether you love America or you hate America, America's a good bad guy, you know? But the fact of the matter is this. It's a ploy. These people aren't justly mad at the US. It's about dominance and taking over. That's what they want. That's what they want to do, trying to do. And without them actively doing something different, then how can there be peace at all? Right? Let's really dig into that for a second. If when the US wasn't actively engaged in conflict over there, they were in conflict among themselves, what do you think is going on? What do you think would happen? That's my question to you. What do you think would happen? Well, of course, they're going to go back to fighting. Now, speaking of fighting over there in the Middle East, now we've got this group where we've got the the Pakistanis, the Turkish, and we've also got now Saudi Arabia joined together in a new NATO-esque type of agreement. And in this situation, we have it where all of the problems that we see with NATO and Europe, okay, how they're trying to drag the US into nonsense with Ukraine and stuff like that, we see how with stuff like that, it's become a problem. So you mean to tell me you've got Turkey, which is always up to some shenanigans, okay? You got Pakistan, which is always in some kerfuffle. They're actively at war right now with Afghanistan, as we were speaking of Afghanistan earlier. And that is that is a big, big, big issue. And we have a serious problem with that being at the center of what we have going on now. Let me be straight with you guys and be a little frank. We have a very, very serious problem with all of these foreign countries because we don't understand what the actual issue is. We don't. We don't understand how they operate. We think that everything is fine. But I'm telling you right now, this new Arabic military alliance, it's going to be a problem. Like I said, how are they going to have an alliance when you've got Pakistan that is currently active at war right now with Afghanistan? So now that they have this pact, are they going to jump? Is Turkey and Saudi Arabia going to jump into the war with Afghanistan? What happens with Afghanistan if that happens? And Pakistan has always been trying to get involved with India and blow them up. So what are we going to do here? What are we going to do? We are very much so either looking for some sort of a great peace or a great destruction, you know? And I believe very firmly that there aren't enough people that understand how serious that is. Now, with us talking about that, we've got a number of our own issues internally, and we'll come back to this a little later in the show. But we've also got a number of issues where in the US right now, we see the continued surveillance creep in our nation. So I'll relate it back to how the Middle East has all of their stuff going on, where the Middle East is kind of really overzealous with all of the surveillance that they have on their people and stuff like that. And their laws are really stringent and tough like that. Turkey is basically a police state. Okay, nobody wants to go to a Turkish prison, like for real. Okay, and in Dubai, if you're holding hands and you're not married, you're going to jail. So what even are we doing? So let's bring it back wholesale back to the US. Hit the like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. And I'm having some ginger shots. I don't have a code or anything to sell you any ginger shots. Maybe I should get one of those, right? Them and a coffee sponsor. Probably need those too. Anyway, hit the like button, hit the share button. It don't cost you nothing. Share this out there. And if you want to support the show, we got a couple options. If you want to support the station, you can go to rochesterfreeradio.com and you can donate that way. Or if you're online, you can donate via PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. It's right there in the top corner over there or down below, depending on how you're looking at it on the size of your phone. So please do donate. $5, $10, $200, whatever you can donate to the show helps us get more airtime and stuff like that. So it's great to have you guys tuned in today because there's nothing more important than surveillance, right? Because that's privacy. Your privacy is of the utmost importance. If we don't stand up and say, hey, privacy matters to us as American citizens, we will continue to have our rights, liberties, and freedoms eroded. People think like, oh, it's a small thing. It's just bus cameras. No, I'm telling you right now, it's not just bus cameras. Do you know about the bus cameras? Do they have those where you are? So let me tell you what happened here in Rochester, where I am. They had these bus cameras where the cameras themselves were being sold as, oh, well, it's only going to be for people that are going past the bus when the camera is turned red. So it sounds really good. They sold it really good to everybody, right? And I encourage you, as I say always, don't believe me because I'm telling you. Don't believe me because I'm saying it. Believe me because I'm telling you. Because I'm going out my way to tell you. So go look it up. They are networking those cameras together with other law enforcement agencies for active continuous monitoring. But wait, they just told us it was just going to be for the school buses, and it only activates if somebody drives by when the school bus stop arm is out. Lies, deceit, and continued creep. This is what happens when you allow a little bit of surveillance. Now, where I live in the city, I spoke to my city council people on this, and a city council president said, we have an agreement that says that they're not going to do that here. I said, are you sure though? And he looked at me like he wasn't quite sure for 100% sure. Because could you ever really be 100% sure? Unless you're in the system, unless you're in the network, could you be 100% sure that those cameras aren't consistently sending all types of information, all types of everywhere? Who knows? Who knows? America is slowly turning into a surveillance state. And I say slowly, and it's really extra super fast. And that's what we're dealing with right now. And it's become such a big problem. People talk about these things. They're called flock cameras. And we're going to get into that. But real quick, hit the like button, hit the heart button. It don't cost you nothing. Hit the share button. Get this message out there. And let's have the real important conversations. If you drop a comment, I'll pop the comment up on the screen and you can be part of the conversation. So let's get back to it. Now, these flock cameras are a software company that also offers cameras, which is really about continued surveillance. And how do they build them? Oh, it's for safety and it's for security. We're just monitoring stuff in case there's crime. Somebody can see the crime. What do you mean? Somebody can see the crime. So for 24 hours out of the day, you're monitoring everybody and everyone, and you're sending the data to God knows where. It's going across all of these different companies, and who knows what happens to the videos and stuff like that. Who knows who's doing the data aggregation and stuff like that. And it is a real serious issue and threat to our privacy, because once they implement these things, once they start going, they're not going to stop. And the people in Britain really warned us about this coming over here, because if you look at London, London is the city with the most cameras in the world. And look at all the crime and violence they got. You mean to tell me they ain't putting nobody in jail? Come on, stop playing with me. But they'll put you in jail if you're over there preaching the gospel. So this is an important part of the conversation. But what can we do if those cameras and stuff are already up? Now, real quick, I want to tell you, thank you. You're listening to The Divide with Marcus C. Williams. We are here in your ear, having the conversations that you need to hear on WRFZ 106.3 Rochester Free Radio. Now, let's get back into it. We've got all of these cameras and surveillance equipment. They've got all of those cameras and surveillance equipment in England. The people in Britain warned us what was going on. Okay, they warned us. They said this is going to go over there, and they were cutting down cameras over there in Britain and stuff like that. But they arrest the people in Britain if they're preaching the gospel, or if they're silently praying outside in their head, or if they share a meme. If they share a meme, not if they created a meme, if they share a meme that somebody else shared and somebody considers it offensive. But you've got people running around out there with machetes, chopping each other up. You've got business disputes from these foreigners in Britain that are chopping each other up with machetes, having machete battles in the street. Like it's something like Gangs of New York, if you ever seen that movie. Like, it's crazy. Like, it's absolutely crazy. None of them go to jail. You got people raping and killing and doing stuff to children and stuff over there. None of them are being caught. None of them are going to jail. So what are all of these cameras for? You got to ask yourself, if the cameras aren't catching the criminals, what are they for? Who are they for? They're for surveilling you. It's about knowing where you are, what you're doing, because if you decide that the government is doing something that you don't like, then they're going to come for you. And they know where you are because they got all the cameras everywhere. They know where you are. They know where you're going. They know who else is there. They know the people you hang out with. They know the type of coffee that you like. Okay, because all they're doing is mass data aggregation. And that's what we need to understand about these cameras. It's specifically about mass data aggregation. And with that, what we experience is a serious issue where the more that they know about you, the more that they can actually maneuver you, control you, or make a plan to get rid of you. But the question is, do you really want the government to be able to have that much information on you? You understand? There's a limit to the amount of safety that you can have as an individual. And that limit is based and exactly directly tied to how much active surveillance and profiling information that the government or anybody else has on you. Think of it as behavioral analysis or psychoanalysis or something like that, where they work to understand you, how you move, where you move, who you deal with, where you like to go, what you like to eat. The more and more and more and more, the more that they know, the more that they can control you, or the more that they can do to try to maneuver you in a certain direction or in a certain way. Kind of like how you have all of these people that have become extremists or terrorists, or what do you call those people? Not domestic terrorists is another one. I forget what it's called anyway, but the people that want to overthrow the government that are citizens, right? Like you become one of them, but we find out that the FBI really was trying to coerce them, and they were providing them weapons, and they were talking them into doing different things that they originally weren't going to do because they were taking advantage of them. But the more data and information that the government has on you, the more likely that that's to happen to you, the more that they can do to you. This is why we need people to wake up. This is why the surveillance is so important to address. Now, as we talk about surveillance and we talked about the flock cameras, a good example that I can give you is right where I live in Rochester right now. In Rochester, there are a number of different cameras. Thankfully, we don't have a ton of these flock cameras and stuff like that, but I'm constantly in a fight with city council to try to prevent any more biometric data scanning, any more surveillance coming in. But we've got a couple members on the city council that are trying to push these things that they're saying are, what do they call them? Automated traffic enforcement. Okay, it's nonsense. It's nothing more than government surveillance. Once they start it, they're not going to stop. They're just going to keep expanding it like these stupid bike lanes, which I hate these bike lanes. Don't get me started. I bike almost every day. You understand what I'm saying? Like I bike more than I drive. So when I do that, all of these ridiculous bike lanes are stupid. Not only are they full of potholes, full of garbage, full of the drains, right? Because they're on the side. So they're full of the drains and all of this nonsense. So it's not practical, but somehow they continue to expand them. Well, who are they doing that for? Because all they want to do is limit the amount of driving, right? Like it's limiting intentionally freedom of mobility. And this is what's happening. Now you tie the limiting of freedom of mobility, again, stuff that nobody wants. Nobody wants these bike lanes. There's only one group advocating for it. And whenever I see them out biking in a group, they're not even using the bike lanes. Make me upset, you know? Then they got these enclosed bike lanes that are disastrous and terrifying. So, but it's all part of a bigger game, right? To control the flow of traffic, they call it traffic easing, right? Or they call it traffic calming. But it's part of restructuring the behavior of society so that the people that are in the society behave more the way that the government wants them to. And we have to understand that that is a very, very serious problem. And we don't want that to happen at all. So when we see what's going on, we have to start connecting the dots. Surveillance by itself is not the problem. Surveillance in the hands of the government is the problem. You understand what I'm saying? So this is like saying a mosquito itself is not the problem. But if that mosquito has malaria, now you got a problem. You know, it's just a minor annoyance. And this is something that we need to start talking about more. This is something that we need to have more of a conversation about because, and I'm glad that more people are understanding what's going on with the flock cameras, but it's not just flock cameras. We saw it start off with the what do you call them? Supermarkets and grocery stores. Well, what happened with the supermarkets and grocery stores? They're like, oh, we're using cameras everywhere and we're doing biometric scans and we're collecting everybody's data. But don't worry, it's not a problem. It's only because of the criminals, so that we can get the criminals, you know? And that's what they told us, right? That's what they said. I was against that then, but it wasn't just the problem with that. The bigger issue on top of that was also the fact that Then all of a sudden, we found out that they were charging people differently based on what stores they went to, based on what the biometric data scanning that they had done showed. So if a different person, if you went into a store and Terry went into a store, they might charge you and Terry two different prices. Now, this is alarming. This should be alarming to everybody. Again, it's about social programming and social control. So when they say, oh, well, it's surveillance, surveillance is a catch-all phrase. It's far more serious than that. It's far more serious than that. And it's just a new way, a stronger way for them to be able to maneuver you. We also need to remember the fact of what happened during January 6th, okay, where they were shutting off people's credit cards, okay, and stopping them from using them if they had been anywhere near Washington, D.C. on January 6th and they bought a Bible. And they bought a Bible. Again, don't believe me because I'm saying it. Believe me because I'm telling you, go look it up. This is the most insane stuff. So they shut off their access to their accounts because they were in Washington at the time of January 6th, and they bought a Bible. Now, this should be alarming to everybody. Because the more that the surveillance increases like that, the more we see stuff like this happen. Look at what happened during the trucker protests, the very peaceful trucker protests, okay, in Canada, okay? They were up there, they were good, they weren't destroying anything, nothing got set on fire, nothing got broken, they didn't go into any buildings, nobody got hurt, nothing. And they were shutting down these people's accounts because they donated to these people that were on another side of the country. They donated $5 to these people on the other side of the country. And they just shut off their bank account. They donated $5 to these people who were peacefully protesting. It's crazy. They were threatening people also, but more than that, they were going to people's houses, taking their animals and killing their animals. Right. Like euthanizing their animals. Like, we really have to understand, I love my country, but the government, it does not matter who is in there, is not for the people. They are not the ally of the people. This is why our founding fathers made sure to impress upon us that we must continuously hold the government accountable. This is something so serious. So serious. What number you got over there? So yeah, so we've got Brian in the studio today. So Brian, we're trying to get him online here. Let's see, we're gonna find out what microphone. I don't know what microphone you're on. We're just gonna turn. I don't know if any. We'll just turn these on real quick. Let's see. I just turned them all on. I don't know which one's what. We'll figure that out. Anyway, we'll see if we can get him up here on the video also. But anyway.
How could they hear me? Over there.
Okay, see if you can, let's test it. Say something. Just pick one. All right, looks like it's working.
That was good.
All right, yep, that was good. So as we're talking about this, and we're talking about what the government does and the surveillance and stuff like that, it is a control mechanism, you guys. It is a control mechanism, and we have to understand that when the government has the ability to access and exert more control over the people, every single time they will. Every single, without fail.
Mark, just told me that.
Go on, jump in, Brian.
Most people know I'm a Facebook page on social media. I had an amputation of my left leg about a year and a half ago due to an infection. It would be there to die, so I picked that.
I like you not dying. That's a good thing.
Marcus came be the first one to come and visit me. That was awesome. Marcus the man. But so I get disability for that, right? But I'm working because I don't want to sit home, you know. So I
right.
Full 40-hour week, good job. They take my disability away.
Oh yeah,
and the whole disability was only like $900 for a month. And if you want to go down and get more for like to pay bills, they're like, no, you make too much for this. It's insane. They build a cage around you where you can't leave because you got to pay your bill. And that month you have no income because you tried to leave a job and you didn't get paid for a couple weeks. You are done.
Yeah, these are control mechanisms that the government puts in place so that they can control the people. Yep, exactly.
It's all control. It's all control.
It's all about control, and it's you see it more and more with every aspect of society, and it's more concerning when you start to understand that the government really is self-serving. It's about growing itself. It's about making it so the government gets more and more power. And like I said, I love my country, but we have to understand that the government is not out for the benefit of the people. They are out for themselves to make this whole bloated, huge, just all I can say is it's like a blob that if you allow it to continue to grow will crush you. That's exactly what the government is. And again, I love my country, but we got to be real with what's going on. We got to be real. Everything right now boils down to control. Now, jumping into the next topic in relation to surveillance, we've got a whole issue with the cars right now, and I need everybody to wake up right now, okay? I want you to go and look into the car kill switch, okay? Because that's coming up. We've talked about it on the show before. I've been warning about it for years, and now here it is. Next year, the car kill switch will be kicking off, and it's going to be very, very serious. Oh, I'm seeing some comments coming in. I'm seeing you guys. Okay, I'm gonna pop those up. So next year, the car kill switch pops into effect. Now, what does that do? And I'm gonna try to make sure we can get this other camera up without messing up the volume on everything. So if it goes a little weird, just bear with me. So as we have this conversation about what's going on with that, we have to make sure. Oh, it won't let me mute it. Dang it. But anyway, so as we have this conversation, we have to remember that with a car kill switch, that means that they can monitor you and they can track you at all times. And it doesn't even matter. They have surveillance in your car at all times. Who is in the car? Where are you? Where are you at? And if the government decides that they don't want you to drive today, you will not be driving today. Okay? So that's something we need to think about. I'd like to talk about Mitch McConnell, whether he's dead or alive, I don't even know. Okay? And his wife, okay, who is the shipping magnate queen of the world that is tied to the CCP, right? Like, we're not even going to talk about how serious that is, but we're gonna talk about her sister, right? Her sister was at the McConnell's house, right? And remember, I just told you her sister is deeply tied to China, and her Tesla car drove backwards into a pond, drowning her. It drove. Let me say that again. Her Tesla car, drove backwards into the pond, drowning her sister. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a miraculous, magical thing. Something that you don't hear about happening. Okay? So it's not something that just so happens, just matter-of-factly, it just happened. You know? We need to make sure that we see and understand what's going on and the dangers that are upcoming. So now, if we're putting in more networked type of devices inside the cars where they can be controlled and automated from afar, that is very, very dangerous. It's extremely dangerous to the point that they can drive you somewhere else. They can call. Have you ever seen the movie? What was the movie with Jude Law? Is it Jude Law? Yeah, Jude Law, and it was in the future. Oh my goodness! And they had those cars that were all automated, and it was Lexus. I can't remember the name of the movie. Yeah, something. Oh man, that's a good movie. Anyway, I'll think about it later. But anyway, basically, the cars can be controlled by the government, right? So if the government, and this is just the government, you guys. Let's be real. What if there is a malicious bad actor? We talked earlier about how they just invaded all of our water systems across the country just about a week ago. So imagine if there was a bad actor that wanted to cause problems or wanted to get, I don't know, let's say Susan Smith, and wanted to take her out, and now her car just drove across 4 lanes of traffic and now she's gone. How would you know? Would it be just a computer error? Would it be just a computer glitch? Would they even tell you? They wouldn't tell you anything. Because if they did, then they would say that, oh yes, it is 100% a problem. And like we know, if the government has a mechanism of control, even if it can be used for bad, they're not going to stop using it. They're not going to stop using it. We also have the issue. Say again. Yep, I can hear you. So, and here's the deal, what we've got going on with not just the automated cars, right? Everything is networked together. It is this network of everything. What do they call it? They call it the network of what is it called? The network of things, right? The network of things. Like it's crazy. It's crazy. We don't want that. We don't want that at all. I don't want all my things networked. No. I don't want my light bulbs. I don't want my oven. I don't want my refrigerator. Okay. And we've had a number of horror movies that have come out recently just showing and showcasing how bad it could be if AI takes over these devices. Now, the AI is another issue with gross data aggregation when it comes to surveillance, because as we see the issue grow, the amount of surveillance is huge. This is why data centers really get into this conversation, right? When you bring in the capacity of data centers to analyze and basically sort, sift, and what would be a good word? Archive data and information, it becomes even more dangerous because it goes back to building that profile on you like we were talking about earlier. And it's going to be used against the people. So right now, a lot of people are protesting the data centers because, oh, it's going to use up the water. Oh, it's going to drive up the energy prices. You're protesting over the wrong thing. It's security, safety.
Protest this, but we did this. Some of the slimiest people on earth. So
you got to speak into the microphone.
Yeah. I only do this for how long?
Yeah.
Like I should know that right now.
So
yeah, some of the slimiest people on earth, right there sitting shaking their hand telling me, great job, vote for me. I need your vote.
One of the scary things about these data centers right now that we're witnessing is that New York State just said, oh, well, we're going to do a moratorium on data centers for a couple of years, for a year, 1 year. Well, you can't even get a permit to do anything in New York State in under a year. So somebody explain to me what they're doing.
Yeah,
they're
no long-term study on anything.
They're putting
every year.
They're putting a moratorium on building them. It didn't say anything about filing for the paperwork or anything for these data centers. So what they're doing is they're playing in the face of the people, and they're delivering what? Nothing. But it's election time. It's election time.
Yeah, well, that exact election time. That's when you hear all the racism talk, reparation talk, all that good stuff from the left. It's funny because less and less people are falling for it. I was going to this church that one of the churches that I work at where those Saturday things, and I got off on Adams Street there, or down the corner from there. I'm walking and I hear someone tell a magnitude about it. I hear someone say, "Hey, my Republican brother," and I look, the guy in his car, he's a black man. He has a red shirt that says black Republicans of Rochester, I believe. And anyways, he's like, more and more of us are doing this. It was just crazy to hear because both sides are going to always get it's really depends on a very small group of people when they vote. And you don't have to vote for a party. You got to vote for the person. And you got to look at the people right now. It's promises that they've been making for 6 cycles. So just do your homework and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's important. It's exactly like you said. A lot of people have these serious issues where we've got this warped perception of party, right? Yeah. And for me, it's not about party, okay? It's about values. It's about conservative values, the values that are foundational to our nation and its actual continued benefit. And this is what happens when we start to move away from values. We see this serious shift in the left right now, where they've got this concept that, oh, well, you know, the socialism is everything now, right? So the whole Democratic Party is shifting left. They just had a thing last night where they're like, let's vote and see about language, about how we can either dismantle or recraft or abolish ICE. And this is where we're at right now. They want to completely get rid of it, and it's a problem.
Yeah.
So, but it's not that they want to get rid of it. And you should have heard some of them talking. I believe the vote for it in the little thing that they had was like something like 25-12. So it shows that not everybody is with that. In favor of abolishing. No, the terminology. They were just voting on terminology for it. So abolishing it. So this is this leftward drift. So what we see is as they go left, now the rats that are scurrying away from that boat are finding their new home in the Republican Party. We don't want them. If you don't have conservative values, we don't want you in the Republican Party, full stop. Well, but this is being independent. You understand what I'm saying? Being independent. So and I'm happy for you to be an independent, or but here's the thing, right? Like, if you really care, why are you not staying in your party and fighting back? Why are you? These people are absolutely off the reservation, insane with philosophy, insane with philosophy and ideology that has never worked anywhere in the world.
Have you seen? I saw Michael McDonough challenge one of the top people from DSA, and when she challenged it, just with simple follow-up questions, he couldn't answer them. He can't answer follow-up questions.
No, not at all.
There's no substance to the argument. It's a flat, just very thin talking point.
Yeah.
All it is.
Yep.
And when they spit it out over and over and over and over. But when you ask them to give you some substance, give me some details about that. How can we have Medicare for all? They're like, we just can't.
And well, but this is the problem. And I want to get back to the data centers for a second, because again, it's the distractions, right? So they say, oh, well, it's going to eat up all this energy. It's going to eat up all this energy. Now, we live in New York. So New York State is completely run by Democrats. They've got a supermajority in the assembly, which is our state house, and they've got the governorship, and they've got a number of towns and counties that are most populous and have the most money. So what they've done is they've conspired together to put in place these energy policies that are counterproductive to our state. So they say, oh, well, it's the data centers that are going to drive up the energy. No, it's you shutting down our energy generation capacity, forcing us to have to buy more energy from Canada or Pennsylvania, that now our rates are going up because you've also at the same time pushed everything to electric. You can't have a gas stove. They don't want that. They don't want you to have a gas furnace. They don't want that. They want all your cars. You can't have a gas car. They want all of that. And so the more and more they push things towards electricity, hello, you guys, it's basic supply and demand. You do not have to be an economic genius or an economist to understand that the more demand there is and the less supply, the higher the cost. And that's what we're living through right now because of bad policies that they promise you something and they deliver you nothing. Nothing.
I mean, you can get not like the guy, but the president always tries to do it. He does it. He might go about it in ways that are unconventional. He might not do it in one, but nobody can sit in, and he's very transparent about it. Nobody can sit here and say he doesn't wake up every day and try to get things done. The things he said. He tries to get things done. Doesn't always happen. Won't always happen. And he might do stuff that some people don't like. But in the end, the guy's done. Put it this way: he's done more than most presidents have done in the entire 40 years.
Well, for me, one of the big issues is they use the president as a scapegoat, and it's not just this president; it's all presidents. Mm-hmm. Most of the biggest issues that we have are local, not really federal. And when we see what's going on the local level, well, where are your main issues? What are your main issues? The cost of energy, right? The cost of food. All of these things are something that's local. Those are local, state level issues. But it's Trump is the reason why your food is up. How?
Right?
How? Like, how is that a thing? So we look at it like this. Take a look at this, right? if he's the problem with the food prices going up, explain to me why in New York State we have so many laws, and these are recent, I encourage you to go look them up, why we have so many laws in New York State that are attacking our agricultural production, our livestock production, our beef processing, our poultry processing in New York State. They are actively working against the people when it comes to food costs by making it okay for closing down small farms, for limiting competition, and for making it harder for you to operate.
Exactly. Instead of making things easier, they make things harder. And it's not just the blue states, there's some red states that do as well. But all in all, when you go to a red state, you have a much easier list of to-do things for the year. You know, when you look at your to-do list, it doesn't have a bunch of permits and a bunch of things you have to get just to live. Just to live. You want to start a business? Good luck. It took me months to start a small bar, in Irondequoit. I had to get town permits. Then I had to get this inspection. Then I had to get another inspection. Then I had to get a third inspection. Then I had to get the fire inspection. It was crazy the amount of licenses and certificates and oh man, it's insane.
Look at it here locally. We had the Pallet Express gentleman. What's his name? Frank, or is it Jamie? Frank. Okay. He owns Pallet Express over there. It used to be on Lyle, where some of the prostitute burnt down his place or whatever the case is. So, and the main suspect in the arson, the police have the video and all of that and stuff like that. Do you think they're going after them? No, they're giving him a hard time. So he moved into another property. Used to be I believe it was it washing machines or the refrigerators? Either way, Rochester used to make those right over there by the railroad tracks by Buffalo Road. Okay. Oh, yeah. So where yep.
That's coming with you there.
Mm-hmm. So, and Pallet Express is over there now. So they've been giving them a hard time since they moved over there. Now, according to Pallet Express and the owner of them, they supply pallets for 400 local businesses.
Wow.
400 local businesses.
And they have like 30 employees too.
So 35, I believe it is. Yeah. So this is crazy. So the city is actively going against these people, but vicariously, it's all of these other 400 small businesses in the area that they're attacking.
Exactly. 100%. 100%. Now, you know, that little diner's going to lose multiple people every single day.
Yep.
It trickles down, and I'm sure anybody says it does trickle down, for the fact. And when it doesn't trickle down, that's when the problems start. And if that's what's going on right now, the people hate, well, billionaires. Now, used to be millionaires. But then Bernie became millionaire. Billionaires. Gotta love that.
That's right.
So yeah, it's like, you did well in life, worked hard, made money. You're the problem. You are the problem of this country, and it's completely the opposite. To live it upside down, that's the reality of it.
Here's the deal with that whole situation here. This goes back into exactly what we were talking about earlier, where you get these people in the government, they promise you stuff that's supposed to be good for you, but really it's just about growing the government, period. And it's very alarming that the Democrats have gotten to this point where now everybody in the Democrat Party, and it's not just the far left, it's not just the socialists, everybody's answer is expanding the government. Well, every time they expand the government, that means that they got to take more money out of your pocket. So every time they say, oh, let's do this or let's do that, that's more money draining out of your pocket. Just watch your dollars fly out of your wallet and your bank accounts. And this is the direction that we're going. Expand the government, expand the government, expand the government. Well, the government doesn't make money, you guys. So where does the money come from? It has to come from you. And they're like, oh, well, let's just tax the billionaires and good. Okay. Let's tax the billionaires. Let's be honest about this. Let's take 2 seconds, you guys, and let's talk about taxing the billionaires. Donald Trump, everybody's biggest enemy, right? Got on the TV in the press conference. Again, don't believe me because I'm saying it, believe me because I'm telling you. Go look it up.
It's there.
Go look it up. He got on the TV in a press conference and said, let's tax the billionaires more. And he said, I'd gladly pay more if it's going to help more people. Did the news cover it? No. They didn't cover it at all. Did Bernie come out of the woodwork and say, yeah, I support that? No. Did AOC come out of the woodwork and say, yeah, I support that? No. None of these so-called socialists, so-called tax the rich people were anywhere to be found when the president said, yeah, let's actually tax the rich. Nobody said nothing. And then people were like, oh, well, what did the Republicans? Well, the Republicans aren't out here talking about taxing the rich. So this is the same thing. And this is the issue, right? These people tell you that they care, but do they really? I like to take it back to, again, this bill that they had with Ana Paula Luna and Ocasio-Cortez. They did a bill together. It was about capping the interest rates on credit cards. They wanted to cap them at, I believe it was 5 or 10%. It's not a big deal what it was, but they were trying to cap the interest rates, right? Now, again, these are two extremely opposite side of the aisle type of people. You got one that's far left, you got one that's a hard right. Okay, so you got both of them work together on this bill that actually would help the people. What do you think it went in Congress?
Yeah, nowhere.
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 It went nowhere. And then guess what? Trump came out and he said, oh, let's cap the credit card interest rate for just 3 years. Just 3 years. Did anybody come out and say, oh yeah, let's do that? No. No. So you got to look at things for what they are. These people that tell you that they want these things for you or they want to do this, they don't really want it unless it's going to benefit the expansion of the government complex so that they can benefit because they know how to work through the bureaucracy.
What they call them the moderate left, and then you have the communist and socialist left. But in reality, the so-called moderate, they have wanted the exact same thing as the communist one. They just want to do it slower and with different, at least the socialists, they go out and just tell you, this is our goal. We want no police, we want no jails, no this. The other side, the so-called moderates, they use different verbiage and words. Like AOC basically said that. We gotta change our shit. We're doing the way we say things. Not only we do things, the way we say things. You gotta listen to them because you tell the truth sometimes in an accident. And it's exactly what it is.
Now, as you guys are listening online, hit the like button, hit the share button. It doesn't cost anything. Hit the subscribe button. Okay. Let's get this out there, share it with more people so that more people can be part of the conversation. And if you drop a conversation, drop a comment in the comments, thumbs up, whatever. Hey, I like the show, whatever, and we'll pop it up on the screen. Now, as we jump further into this, what we are seeing is a continued push of power away from the people into the hands of the government. We have it right now where we have a government that wants to do everything for you, but just enough for you that you can't get away from them.
Exactly.
So they just were talking about restructuring Head Start. Okay. Restructuring the Head Start program. If you guys aren't familiar with Head Start, essentially it's early childhood learning. It's like pre-K. Okay. There's a little bit more to it than that, but essentially it's just basically pre-K, right? And it's done by the federal laws and stuff like that. So Trump said, hey, with Linda McMahon, who's the head of that right now. Not Linda McMahon. I lied. Excuse me. Not Linda McMahon. Because this is the crazy part, right? So Head Start is not part of the Department of Education. Did you know that? It's not part of the Department of Education. Head Start is part of HHS. Yeah, so Health and Human Services. But this is the crazy part of how the government works. So if you were thinking that it's childhood development and stuff like that, that's not really even what it's about because it's underneath a completely different department that has nothing to do with that. So now here locally, a lot of people were upset. They're like, Trump's cutting everything. He's trying to get rid of Head Start. First of all, so what if he was? So what if he was? Okay, the problem with Head Start and any other government programs for education is you want the government to get in there and teach your children early. The government. What did Malcolm X say? Right? He said, "Don't let the enemy educate your children." Like it's a very, very simple thing. Everybody knows that. You don't want since when is the government your friend? It's never been anybody's friend. Never. So this is the real serious issue that we see. So with them talking about restructuring Head Start, let's be clear. They were cutting some of the overhead costs for the high administrative positions and stuff like that. And it should save them. I can't remember exactly how much it was, but it was like $350 million or something like that. 298 million, something like that, right? So a good chunk, not a ton, but a good chunk. And they're not cutting anything They're not cutting any funding to the states. So people are like, oh, well, he's trying to get rid of it, but he's not cutting any active funding. Yeah. So what are we doing? So these are the complaints and the issues that people are trying to say. And again, it's because Trump is a good bad guy. Yeah. So
and without them, they don't know what they're going to do without them.
Well, but this is right. They'll have to fabricate something else next.
Yeah.
So it's bad because what we see is a misalignment between reality and what these people are selling. And this is important why we need to go back to our conservative roots as a nation. What has worked historically, what has been good for our country historically, and what can we do to optimize for the future? But if we have a nation that is no longer based on conservative values and foundational values, then we are going to be shifting just like the sands on the desert in the Sahara. Okay, ever constantly shifting around and around, and we will know no stability. We will know nothing except for hardship. Yeah. Okay, because every time it's going to be something new and creative to cause more disshufflement and destabilization.
And you're not going to get, your kids aren't going to get taught the real history of the schools. I mean, trust me, it's not. When I was in school, I got taught the real history, but that was 25 years ago, 30 years ago. And it's crazy that we've come so far the other way that they sit there and basically make communist leaders look like they did that. I have the one school, well, we're not saying communism was good in the 70s and 80s in Russia, but it was the person running it that was bad guy, not the system itself. But communism means community, and blah, 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 blah. And I was just sitting there, I'm like, this is the worst explanation I've ever seen. And like I said, there's no depth or substance to it. If someone challenges them on any aspect of their argument, they cannot come back with everything. They literally, the windows laughing. I don't know. The guy said, what are you going to do with the people who rape and murder? And get to go to prison? She said, huh? Said it again. She goes, well, what we should be talking about are the billionaires that are. Said, no, we're not talking about. Yeah. We're talking about. I just serious that question. But what are we going to do for people rape and murder? Again, we're billionaires and Donald Trump. Yep. All right, enough said. So
I want to take a second and talk about what you just said. So these DSA people here, the Democratic Socialists of America in Rochester, I hope some of y'all are listening because I'm about to drag y'all real hard across the ground, okay? Real hard. Y'all ain't about nothing. Y'all are super, 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 super unable to actually voice and vocalize what you're talking about and give it any solidity. And you won't even actively engage with somebody that believes something different than you because you know that your ideas, if challenged, will fall to the ground and be broken and shattered. And this is a serious problem. So now, for any of you guys listening, you know I'm the chairman of the Rochester City Republican Committee. So for the last couple of months, I've been working on engaging with the DSA on trying to get them to do a debate, an interaction, and they're like, no, we don't want to. I said, okay, well, you can set the terms, you can pick the place, you can pick the questions. Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, we don't want to do it because they're concerned that they might be made to look stupid.
Exactly. That's exactly why. It's 100% why.
They can't back up what they say that they believe in. They can't justify what they say that they believe in. And if it is challenged, then they go to pieces.
The problem is it's not challenged. Most places out there aren't challenging them.
That's right.
Obviously, that's part of the agenda. But when they do get challenged, you're right. It's all over. I mean, it's all over.
But it's and you know what? Talking about the DSA, I couldn't drag them across the ground enough. Okay, because the fact of the matter is they are championing this concept of socialism and stuff like that. And then they'll be like, oh, well, no, it's not actually socialism. It's democratic socialism. Well, what is that? What is that? All you're doing is talking about you want communism. Do you know that it's that North Korea is democratic socialist? Do you know that? Yeah. Like the DRPK? Yes. Vietnam. Like, are we playing here? Did we see how Vietnam? Listen. Well, so those fortunately, no countries in Africa are any socialist or communist. What happened in Africa, there used to be about 32 nations. This is actually some good information for you guys to go look into. There used to be about 32 different countries there that in Africa have tried some sort of socialism or communism there. It failed every time, didn't last long. People weren't having it. They didn't want to have it. But again, Africa, it's not an industrial nation, so we don't pay attention to the whole continent that is filled with tons of countries. You can never talk about that. And that's why they always talk about Africa as a collective whole, which also is a bad thing.
It's never the individual country.
It's never the individual country. So because if we knew about the different history of these individual countries there, we might be like, well, wait a second.
Yep.
So you look at stuff like right now, you've got what happened in what was it? Not Vietnam, where they debanked tens of millions of people. They just shut their bank accounts down because they felt like it. They said, oh, well, you don't want to switch over to our digital currency? No bank for you. Click, click. Because that's what they do. That's what they do in socialism. The government has the ultimate power and the ultimate authority, and they will do whatever they want, however they want, and you have no say in it.
They did that in Venezuela too. There's Havana was a nice spot in one of the biggest party areas to go to, a wonderful vacation area. Look at it now. It's in ruins. Down in Caracas in Venezuela, these people who were, wealthy, before you record Chavez got in there, he basically just took their money.
Well, it's wealth redistribution, brother.
But I mean, he campaigns. If you look at his campaign promises, they are dead aligned with the DSA.
So, but he was a socialist. He advocated for socialism. What they call it, Chavezism. So, but it's interesting when we take a look at it for what it really is. It's about putting the power and the money in the hands of the few. So they say, oh, it's for everybody. Well, they just want everybody to be equally poor and equally unable to engage with the government. They don't have a Bill of Rights in these socialist countries that protect your ability to engage with the government. They don't have that. They don't have any of that. And it's very simply because they don't want you to challenge the government. You start to challenge the government in any of these countries, you, your family, everybody goes missing. Look at China. They have a new law where it says that if you are either a Chinese national or you have family and you are abroad, right? Like not in mainland China, and you are abroad, they will come get you if you say something that threatens the social cohesion or is against the CCP in China. So that means if somebody's here in the US and they're Chinese and they say something about China, China's coming to pick them up, or China's going to put their family in jail and torture them, right? Like, so this is a very, very serious issue because again, you got this communist socialist country. And I mean, the same thing with Cuba, right? So Cuba has been known to try to go after dissenters across the ocean. And this is a big, big issue. This is a big, big issue. And it's a big issue, and we need to really address it. We need to really address it. Because if we don't address it now, then it'll never be addressed. And it has to be stopped. But the only way for it to be stopped is if we actually understand that socialism is bad.
And tell the truth about it. These
how dare you? We got to do the 1617 project, or what was it called? 1619 project and all of this nonsense.
And then, 3 years after they come up with these things, everyone realizes how stupid it was, how it was just a bunch of lies. But it takes years, and we're always the bad guy until the thing comes out, and it's just like, all right, don't talk about it. Let's just move on. Let's move on. We must COVID. Let's just move past this.
I can't deal with those people. So I'm not trying to mess with none of those people that are like, oh, let's just forget what happened. You mean the complete authoritarianism? No.
Ruining kids' lives. It's just insane that they think we should just move right past it. When we got a guy who was running everything, who admitted in his little book and on tape that he was
his diary. Excuse me, sir. His diary for the 80-year-old man. His diary.
And he did it, and he did it on government property. That's why.
Oh, shoot. Bear with us as we have notebook-esque issues here going on. So here, can you scan this? If you can scan that, you can get it.
Don't worry about it. I got
Okay.
it.
All right. So here's the issue, what we have right now. There's no longer formal education. Somebody said all the isms are bad. It's absolutely true. We can't talk about who's in control of the isms. We can't talk about who's pushed all the isms. We can't talk about the fact that you can associate pretty much every ism back with one group of people, the Democrats.
Yeah.
So
the Democrats also, the Democrats.
The Democrats in period, the whole group. You've got the what do you call it? The alphabetism.
Yeah.
You've got the transgenderism. You've got the feminism. You not to mention the socialism, okay, right?
Of course, yeah.
And every other ism that has worked cohesively to tear down our cultural norms, our traditional values, and replace them with this new government is God, yourself is above all, and just prideful nature in our society, taking us away from Christ because they know that if it wasn't for Christ, we would not have the benefits in this country that we do. And this is why we now see the rise of Islam, because when you try to get rid of God in public society, something else is going to go in there to replace it.
Yeah.
We've got the one group that wants government. We got the other people that want it to be Islam. And this is
emerging to get, even in Germany, running over each other.
It's a serious problem.
But you're right. And it's something that is, it's almost like they know that if they can get rid of, God from everything, the Constitution is no longer legal. It's debunked because our rights come from God, right?
Right,
so
right.
Therefore, suddenly the government steps into that role. And now your rights come from the government. They control everything. So who's in power? That's who your rights are going to be talked about.
Well, you look at it when it comes to the whole situation with Islam itself, right? Islam's whole goal is to be a theocracy, right?
Yeah.
So you look at countries like Iran, and that's basically what you would say, okay, that is basically the model for Islam, for true Islam practice, the way that it is written, okay, very closely. And the problem with that people don't want to address is the fact that we can't even engage with the actual people that are in power, the president, the prime minister, or something like that, because we got to find their holier than thou religious leader who apparently has half a no face and no lips.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh my goodness gracious. But this is where does the power really truly lie? And it's always consolidated in a very small group, in a very few people's hands. And this is exactly the same as what happens in socialism. So it's no wonder that they all want it to be together. They all want it similar because there are two goals with socialism and with Islamism. They both want world domination. Everything, and this goes back to everything. It's not just power, though. It's globalism. It's completely globalism.
Which once they got the power, they would actually go at each other, because they have so many differences.
Of course.
But first, let's take out the one we all hate, the common enemy, which is Christianity and Judaism. And we are getting bombarded by, every day. FBI is stopping terrorist attacks. We don't hear it because they don't want to announce it, and they shouldn't.
Well, they don't even talk about the terrorist interactions over there in Europe. They don't talk about, like we talked about a week or so ago, about the gay pride thing where the Islamists were running over. They ran over like 35 people. Yeah. Or Nice, what happened in Nice over there where they did that, it wasn't very nice what happened in Nice, but this is, or they killed the kid in Scotland and the one in France. Like all of these things are conversations to have. They don't talk about the people in Ireland rebelling against them and trying to push them out of the country. Poland won't let nobody in. Poland's on point.
Same way.
So this is very, very important. You know, we've got it where we as a people, as a nation, cohesively have to stand up and push back. And I here's my message to all of you that believe in socialism and all of that. You guys right now are telling me that the government is bad. And I'm 100% with you. The government is bad.
Right.
But to say that the answer to bad government is more government
Right.
is completely out the window. That's insane.
You had a stepfather, and he was dad, but your mom was also, there, and she would kind of keep him away from you a lot. And also, do you think the answer in having a better life would be to turn all the power over to your stepfather? No, because it's absolutely ridiculous. If the government is not doing, name one program that the government runs that runs cohesively, that is done well. Well, one lady for DSA said the VA. They started laughing like, but these guys aren't even going to the VA anymore because they can't get served. They're going to it's ridiculous. The government is not good at running things. That's the bottom line.
Oh, but the government can't run itself. So you want the government to run everything else. That's a very, very, very serious problem.
So start, because I remember 25 years ago, everybody said, left, right used to say, we need a businessman to come in here and be president and get this place in shape and do this. Why did it become that we got that and half the country doesn't want?
Please make it make sense. This is one of the continued issues that we have where people want to abdicate their responsibility for government authority. And we have to step away from that because government is not, nor has it ever been the answer. It has always been the people against the government, no matter what form of government it is. So the best solution to all of that is a small government, a limited government, which is the way our nation was founded. To quote Charlie Kirk, big government sucks.
Yeah, make sure you love that. It's so true. You want a government that if you want to take that government out because that government has become, basically just the enemy of the state, and they're doing things that, and that's what these people should be able to fight back against the government. That's why we arm. That's why we are allowed to do what we do and have what we have. It's the government can't just start taking people's property and distributing it out to people who, they just don't have enough. They're more unfortunate than you. So we're going to take your property and we're going to give it to this guy.
This is the problem, brother. This is the serious problem. Please take a second, hit the like button, hit the share button. It doesn't cost you nothing. Every share, every like, every comment helps get the message out there more. So do that. Now, as we get into the tail end of the show, we want to go and we want to take a second to talk about crime. So in blue states, they say the crime is down, and they like to say when the crime is up, well, the crime is up everywhere. Well, the crime is down now, but it's down everywhere. On a federal level, the FBI just said that we have the lowest violent crime in pretty much recorded history. You're right. So that's because there has been way more law enforcement action in large cities that has been pushed forward by support through the federal government, by both funding and by both aid in resources. So that's something that we need to consider. They just were talking about how in New York and Rochester specifically, crime is down. Crime is down. Well, your question is, well, by what metrics is crime down?
That's the whole thing. By what do you measure it?
Well, but it's only gun crime. Only gun crime. Even though stabbings and machete choppings and hackings are through the roof, even though carjackings, all of it is through the roof. Because gun violence, I use air quotes, is down. Specifically, they're touting the number of shootings and the number of murders, even though we somehow keep finding bodies everywhere. But they say the shootings are down because, well, if you drive yourself to the hospital, did you know if you drive yourself to the hospital and you don't file charges, they don't count that?
Exactly.
That doesn't count.
There's no crime.
That doesn't count. So that doesn't count. Then we have to ask ourselves, well, are murders really down, or have we just gotten better at stopping people from dying?
Exactly.
So, but we don't talk about that. We don't talk about the advancement of the medical field and how the medical field has gotten so much better that they're better at stopping people from dying. Well, I was talking to somebody that works in the trauma unit, right, in the ER, and they were saying it's not better. What's happened is we've gotten better at saving their lives.
Exactly. Narcan's gotten more distributed.
So,
there's a lot of more ways.
So but overdoses are down, praise the Lord, due to the federal government stopping all of these drugs from pouring into our country through the southern border and through the waterways and stuff like that. But we can't talk about that. We can't give the federal government any type of credit because that might make Trump look good. You can't make the Republicans look good. Can't make the Trump look good.
Look at the three cities, Memphis, Trump had the federal crackdown. I mean, it's just insane how far down. Look at Florida, what the Kansas copies from. Miami's had 4 murders this year.
Listen, which is amazing.
That's insane.
All we know about
9/11.
Yeah, that it's and these are very, very huge cities. Now,
said 7.
Now, there was just an article that Gino Forelli here. If you guys are in Rochester area, you might know this guy. He's written for a number of different different periodicals here locally. But he just wrote an article, and it says that the governor candidate, Bruce Blakeman, is saying that we need a dangerousness standard because of bail reform, which we do. I agree 100%. Bail reform needs to be amended.
Yes.
Okay, 100%. But we also need to get rid of raise the age laws, which allow anybody under 18, it is, under 18, you get out for any type of reason. Anything you do, they have to release you within 24 hours. They have to.
Yep.
And if you do end up going to trial, you go to family court. So what is family court? After every family court case, it gets sealed because you're a juvenile. I'm using air quotes. No matter how serious the crime is.
You're gonna be out when you're 18.
Exactly. So however many crimes you do, each crime that you do is like a brand new crime. It's your first time.
Correct. Yep.
This is a problem. And we need to address that issue.
And assume parole laws too.
Don't even
parole instead of
how many of these people have been on parole or had ankle monitors on killing people?
Literally. Only had gun crimes that were pending.
Right. So as we get out of here today, you guys, I appreciate you all for tuning in. Please hit the like, hit the share button, drop some comments, and get this out there. You guys are the best. God bless. And remember, stand up, speak up, and don't shut up. Take action. Be blessed and be well.
I'll be back sometime soon.
Thank you, Brian, for coming in today.
Thank you. That time went like fast, man. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah.